Hey, what's going on? This here is the best polyphonic analog synthesizer for the price, in my opinion. It sounds amazing. It can be really deep with sound design, or you can just sort of stay at the preset level. Both use cases are really good for that. And also, it's built like a tank. This thing is super solid. Come here, let me show you something real quick. So the one complaint that we all know everyone has about this synth is the menu. It is a little bit difficult to wrap your head around for the first time, but I would argue that it is a pro instead of a con. And I think the reason for that is it requires your attention. It wants you to put your attention in one place. And I think in this world right now, our attention is diverted in all of these different places. I think it's sort of nice to have a device that doesn't have any screens on it or anything like that. You can just sort of connect with it. I think once you get this device, I think that it really deserves your full attention and that you should just focus on the NYMPHES just in the beginning, right? I think from a design perspective, this device is special because it forces you to approach it differently than the way that you might approach other synths. And in that process, I think that you'll discover some of its secrets or its hidden capabilities. And some of those hidden capabilities might be the defining sound that you can't get with another device, if that makes sense. Okay, enough of that. Here's 4 tips for the Dreadbox NYMPHES. Tip number 1 is to drill it, right? And I don't have social media anymore, and I wish I could remember who gave me this tip. There are a couple of things that you might struggle with when you first get the NYMPHES. It's really just a matter of building the muscle memory. I struggled with the load and save thing. I would build a patch and design something, and then I would load instead of saving. It was super frustrating. Pick one particular thing that you're struggling with, and then just practice it. Just do it for like 5 minutes. And if you do it for 5 minutes, it's in here. And then it's to the point where you don't even have to look at it anymore. You can start to do it by feel. Now, I'm not a car person, but I've heard people who drive manual transmission, they feel more locked in with the car. I think like Fast and Furious ass people drive stick shifts. To me, it feels sort of like similar. I feel that I'm locked in more with the device than I would be if I was menu diving. Does that make sense? Let's practice a load. Press the load button, and then if you press shift, it will select the bank, right? If we turn shift off, then we are selecting the preset, and so you've got the 7 within that bank. So let's do it again. So we're in bank A, we're gonna turn shift off, and now we can do preset 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or 7, right? Let's go ahead and select 1. Here is something that I didn't know. If you long press load, it will open up a preset. If you short press, if you just tap it, then it will load your preset. So it's a way for you to be able to stack the 2 of them. I couldn't wrap my head around that. Here's the trick, right? I should be able to get to my own presets more quickly than I should be able to get to the factory presets. So short press, long press. Long press is for their presets, short press is for mine, right? Boom. Hit it. Tip number 2 is about chord mode. I recently watched a video because I just was consuming all of the NYMPHES videos that were out there. And I saw somebody sort of talking about all of the features and how great the NYMPHES is, but they didn't particularly like the chord mode, that they were like, oh, I'm just gonna learn how to play chords. I'm not gonna use the chord mode. That's probably gonna be the least used feature on there. And I think that that's a mistake. Now, if you look at the manual, they sort of hint at this. The chord mode can be used in a really interesting way for sound design or just like making interesting patches. Let me show you. Here's how we get in chord mode. Here, we're on 1. We're gonna press that again so it's flashing, so we're in the sub menu, and then we're gonna go all the way to 7. Right? Now we're in chord mode. And if you play on your MIDI controller, then you will lock in that chord. So I'm just gonna do, and I'm gonna do the same thing for all of the chords. I'm not gonna make it different just for the sake of this here. Something to keep in mind is that the chord mode is only gonna work in unison A, unison B, tri, and duo modes. I'm gonna go ahead and change it. So here, menu. And now that we're in the sub menu, we can select the different mode over here. I'm gonna go to tri, load. We're gonna go ahead and hit shift so that I can access the chord. So if you see what I did here, because I programmed all of the 7 chords just one single chord, I basically have this as an on-off switch. So let me come up with a sequence really quickly. I'm going to introduce chord mode. Let me show you one other layer. We're going to press the menu button and then go to 2. I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift, select chord, pop this like maybe halfway. I've mapped LFO2 to chord mode. So now I can have it go in and out. So let's just listen to that real quick. Don't sleep on chord mode. It's pretty cool. Tip number 3 is to create your own init patch. We just created that LFO chord mode thing, right? I would like to get back to an init patch. I'm gonna hit load, select bank A out of here. 1, I'm gonna do a short press because it should be quick for me to be able to get to my own presets. There it is, right? I suggest that you do this on each of your hardware synths that have program memory or preset memory. You should create your own starting point. Take the time to do that so that you always have a reset point. Bop, 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 load. You got it. You know what I mean? Tip number 4 is to set up your own custom CC controls for the NYMPHES. Whether you're using a MIDI controller, you're sequencing from a hardware sequencer, or you're using a DAW or something like that, whatever your scenario is, there might be certain parameters that you want to address at the same time. So for instance, you might want to open up the release of the filter envelope at the same time as opening the decay on the amp envelope. But specifically on the panel, you can't do that because you would have to be in the shift mode and you can't do them at the same time. But if you have something like a KeyStep 37, right, where you can set up custom CC values, you could then set one of those for the shift parameter that's not accessible at the moment on the panel, and then you can move both of those at the same time by doing one here, right, while you're moving the other on your MIDI controller, if that makes sense. Here is something that is so sick about the NYMPHES. Every single parameter on this device can be accessed through a CC number. I want to be able to change the attack of the filter envelope at the same time as changing the release on the amp envelope. I'm going to set up the NYMPHES panel so that I have access to the release of the amp envelope, and then I'm going to put the attack of the filter envelope on my CC controls on my MIDI controllers. EG attack is 79. We'll go back over to the DAW, this one here, and we'll go 79, call this filter attack. Here we've got the filter attack, and then here, amp release. I hope that you found that helpful. If you have any questions about the NYMPHES, just shoot me a comment. I've had my head down in the NYMPHES this week, so yeah, just hit me up. I just want to take a moment to thank all of my Patreon members here. Looks like Slowheart and Keith. Okay. We have a Discord server over there. We talk about gear and that kind of stuff. Also, I'm going to be uploading samples for any of the jams that are in this video. I'll put them at 32-bit and they're going to be under a Creative Commons license, so you can use them for your projects or whatever. If you don't like Patreon, that's totally cool. I have links in my description for my music on Bandcamp, so maybe consider supporting me there. And then otherwise, see ya later.